Hey guys, have you ever popped a tire mid-drift and not know how to fix it? I have. Hi, my name is Stucky, and today I'm going to teach you how to fix a spare tire. So there's three main points to this. First, you want to take off your lugs. Then, well, you'll lift your car and then take off your lugs, of course. Then you'll take your tire off and put the spare on. And then you'll tighten up your lugs and, make sure your wheel doesn't fall off. So step one, most cars will have a jack and a wrench to take off your lugs. It'll be the right size, you don't have to worry. So a lot of cars will have lift points on them, like my car does. Some cars don't, they just have the frame, so you just want to make sure you find a sturdy spot under the car that you can lift it. So I have the jack already set up, so I can just lift it up enough to lift the tire a little bit. And so before you lift the car totally off the ground, it's best to break your lugs loose first. So pretty much just loosen them a little bit, just so when you lift the car up, the tire isn't just spinning when you're trying to take off the lugs. And another way to, another precaution is to put your car, if it's automatic, you'll want to put it in park, of course, so the car doesn't roll back or forward and land on you. If you have a manual, you can put it in first gear or reverse, and that'll keep it from moving as well. And you'll also want to put on your parking brake or e-brake. So I'll just finish loosening these lugs, and then I can lift the car up and take them off the rest of the way. And these are a little bit loose just because I had it set up. A lot of times it'll be a lot harder. Sometimes you can put the wrench on there and then step on it just to get a little extra torque. Otherwise, you'll just have to use sheer strength. And if you guys are wondering if you should trust me doing this, I have changed probably 30 to 40 tires in my lifetime. And I'm 17, so there's plenty more. So you'll want to make sure your tire is enough off the ground so where you can take it off and put your spare on. So cars will have different types of lugs. Sometimes they'll have sometimes it'll be a bolt like this one. Other times it'll have a stud coming out and it'll just be a nut that goes over it. So you'll take all of them out, just one by one. Make sure you don't lose them because going without a lug or two is kind of dangerous. I've had to do it before, but it's not recommended unless you need to get one in an emergency. So keep taking all these off. Take a little bit. And then if you're wondering if the wheel's going to fall off when I take all these out, it's not, because since this doesn't have since it doesn't have studs, it has a little lip on the inside that keeps the wheel from totally coming off when I take out all the lugs. And if your wheel's been on there a lot, and you try to tug on it after you get all your lugs off and it doesn't come off, just kick it. And it will, because sometimes it'll rust against the surface a little bit, and it'll be just like right along here, and right along here will kind of become conjoined, and it'll be hard to take it off. So, got the tire off. As you can see, this is a tire I burned through. I was on my way to go to dinner with my girlfriend and her family, and it popped midway. But that's alright, because that's what we're putting on a spare for. Gotta eat food. So since you don't have a jack under here, you don't really want to put any of your body under the car because it can be dangerous, because just a little, inside the jack is just a 10-cent O-ring that's keeping it up. So it's kind of dangerous. So since this doesn't have lugs, you'll want to make sure that you line up the holes on the wheel with the holes in the hub, and then just put her on there. I need to sit down, make it a bit easier. And then just put it on that little lip, and it should stay on there. And then once you get it lined up, you can put a couple lugs in there, just to get it to stay on well. Tighten a few down, and then this is the fun part. You get really tired, especially when it's like 10 degrees out. I have to do that in very cold weather. That's alright. So you'll get all of them on there, and then with your wrench, you'll just tighten them up to where they're pretty snug, not super tight, because we'll tighten them all the way when we drop the car back down onto the ground. So pretty much just enough to just get a little bit tight on there. And when you're tightening your lugs, you'll want to go in what's called a star pattern. So I started on this one. I'm going to go to this one, then probably here, here, and here. You don't want to go in a circle, because if you do, that can crack your rim, and a cracked rim is worse than a flat tire. and a lot more expensive. So, finish getting all these tightened down. Alright, so those are all pretty well snug. So now for the jack. Sometimes if you have a jack that came with the car, it'll be what's called a scissor jack, and it's a little small jack, and you'll have a thing that spins. It's kind of like this. You'll just spin it and spin it the other way to make it go up and down. This one, since you pull it down to jack it up, pretty much you just spin it counterclockwise, and it'll drop it. If your car is high up in the air, you'll want to drop it a little bit slower, but I'm not too worried. So then, your nuts are still pretty loose, so you want to tighten them all up pretty well snug in a star pattern, because you don't want your wheel falling off while you're driving, because that would not be fun. Yeah, and this is the part where the star pattern is really important, because it puts lots of pressure on the rim. And like I was saying earlier, you can step on it to get more torque out of it. Make it easier if you're not super strong, but I don't like it. Just pulling it up. And then after that, you'll just go around, make sure they're all tight, make sure you didn't miss any. Alrighty, and then after that, you're pretty much well set to drive. You just got to put your spare back in your car and everything else in your car. So the three main steps that we did was lift up the car, loosen the lugs, then take your spare off, and put your other spare, or take your wheel off, and then put your spare on, and then you'll tighten the lugs, lower the car, and then tighten them again and make sure everything is all snugged up so your wheel doesn't fall off. So thank you guys for listening.